Well, for more on that, we're joined from Parliament House by Professor John Blaxland from the Strategic and Defence Studies Centre at ANU, where Mr Clapper is a visiting professor. Terrific to speak to you this evening, Professor Blaxland.
Thanks, Kirsten.
Now, some who watched today's address commented on how frank James Clapper was. How would you describe his comments and what in particular stood out for you?
It was very frank, it was quite stark, it was quite sobering. It was very interesting around the room that it was quite palpable, the surprise, if not shock, at what he said about Watergate, but also what he said about the need for Australia to look out for its own interests. It was a surprising admission from a former senior US official who was so well plugged in with Australia and as part of the intelligence network, the Five Eyes network that Australia is very much plugged into. It was very interesting to hear him refer to the former Secretary of Defence, Dennis Richardson, as having got it right about having a longer-term view of the importance of maintaining the relationship with the United States because of the breadth and the depth of the relationship on intelligence, on defence and security, on economics and trade, and particularly on investment. The combination of those domains, he was pointing out, means that we need to look through and beyond the challenges we face at the moment. But it was very sobering, the scale of the challenge he was presenting for us.
But James Clapper did acknowledge, didn't he, that behind the scenes there may be some considerations going on given the new administration and the scandals it's facing about whether Australia's relationship can and should continue as it is now.
Yeah, no, look, I think it was pretty clear. There's room for interpretation about exactly how he said it, but essentially he was taking the words from Dennis Richardson, who has been on the record as endorsing the American alliance and of it remaining with a long view in mind about maintaining the relationship with the United States and not being flustered by the Trump phenomenon, but at the same time managing to walk a tightrope, if you like, between the pressure for closer engagement with China and yet the security ties and economic ties with the United States. And that's one, he didn't use those words, but it's a metaphor I think is useful for us as we reflect on what Jim Clapper was saying about maintaining both in balance. And of course, in light of the revelations on Four Corners the other night, that presents a significant challenge, because not only do we have this flawed presidency with Donald Trump, we have a very complex relationship with China, where we've got incredible level of investment and trade opportunities, and yet we have a very worrying trend in terms of the scale of the involvement politically and in terms of monitoring of students and of actively vacuuming up information in Australia about business, about interests here, about security dimensions as well. We are in a very interesting space, and I use that in the Chinese sense of the word, because we do face quite a conundrum, managing the challenges of continuing to have robust and strong relationship with China and managing that relationship with the United States, which, as I say, is broad and deep on security, on economics, on trade, on intelligence, and yet which we have to be wary of where the Trump presidency is going. And there's so many dimensions of that are worth exploring that we don't have time for tonight, of course.
Unfortunately, no. But if we do go back just briefly to those comments he made in relation to the Watergate scandal, paling in comparison to the allegations facing Trump's administration in relation to its alleged links to Russia, how do you think those comments will be interpreted in the United States? And do you think they'll liven up the expectations ahead of the former FBI Director James Comey's testimony our time Thursday night, Friday morning, which he's going to be giving into that investigation looking between those links between the US administration and Russia?
Well, I think what we're seeing is the momentum building really ratcheting up the pressure on the Trump presidency. The Comey revelations, the investigations that are underway on the Hill, on Capitol Hill, are, I think, a reflection of what General Clapper was saying. The confidence in which he was speaking on this suggests to me that he has a sense of this coming to a climax in the not that distant future, and perhaps by referring to the Watergate, the parallel there, maybe he's got a sense of this leading to a prospect of some kind of impeachment in the short term. A lot of pundits have been saying that was a medium-term proposition because the Republicans control Congress, and that's unlikely to change, or it won't change until the midterm elections, not for another 18 months away. But there is perhaps with the Comey revelations, perhaps with the other investigations, momentum building for some extraordinary measure taken to see Trump removed.
Professor John Blaxland, it was an interesting address today. Thank you for giving us your thoughts on it.